It's Shannon.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live.
It's Shannon.
Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning and in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. I forgot I was on live, child. I couldn't hold my cough anymore. So I had to cough. Because let me tell you, I went away to my Lions Club International Convention in Montreal, Canada last week. Came back on Tuesday nights. Woke up Wednesday morning, sick as I don't know what. I was so sick when I woke up. So fun.
Man, you was having too much fun.
I was say what?
You were having too much fun.
Well, I guess that was too. But look, I mean, it was worth going, but I surely wasn't expecting to come back sick. I mean, I've been sick since I've been back and everything, girl. So today was the first day I felt like getting up talking because I had to get up to do the show and everything. So, because I couldn't miss being on the show with y'all, you know.
Absolutely.
And but I just want to let you know the Lions Club organization is international, is worldwide. And Hey Cat is worldwide, and that it is such a wonderful organization to be in. I mean, I didn't even realize the scope of how big it was myself until I got there. It's over 200 countries that's involved in the Lions, and the work that they do, you know, for around the world. They showed when the tornado hit in Kentucky. I mean, it just destroyed Kentucky. And when we saw those line trucks back up with lines written on the side, giving food, water, supplies. I mean, it was just wonderful. And you girls need to just come on board and join
Well, Lottie,
the Lions Club, because it does a lot. We do a lot for the community here.
We know that.
Yes, you do.
You have been trying to indoctrinate us for some time now, and you still moving forward as you have an event coming up in October. So sometimes I feel like I'm a part of the Lions, but I better take 2 steps back and I jump in the Lions then, because I want to make sure I know what I'm getting into.
Listen, every function I'm at, so you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're already kind of involved, but what I'm saying is once you start helping the community, like doing stuff for people, like when we go feed people that needs to be fed, and, you know, we do stuff for the kids, you know, during the holiday, during the year. I mean, it's such a rewarding experience, you know, when you know you standing there helping somebody, and just the idea of talking to people, because you don't realize how people want you to talk to them. Mm-hmm. So when we're doing feeders and you get the chance to talk to people and just see what they are going through, then you will shut up about your problems because you don't have anything to complain about. Absolutely. Because we complain too much, you know. So I really want y'all to think about it and you know, come on board, because, you know, in October we're going to be having our dance and everything, but we'll talk more about that at another time. But I mean, when I came back, I was like, nothing has changed since I went away and come back, the news and stuff. And this immigration, which I've always had a problem with the immigration. So I'm looking at the governor from Texas talking about President Biden, that he's responsible. You see the tractor trailer truck that had those people on it that had died on the truck. The guy left the truck and all of those people was on there. So he blaming President Biden for all of this happening and everything. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, the truck came through your state first. Exactly. Before it got to the border. So I don't understand if your people didn't do a checkpoint like it was supposed to be. How are you blaming the president?
Joseph had them checkpoints?
This is what Joseph I'm saying. That's a checkpoint. But he's blaming because when all the people that comes to the border, he's claiming that they're not doing anything about it. But how are you going to take care of all of these people that come to the border? I understand people fleeing, they want to get away, they have to do, but how are you going to take care of all of those people? You can't even take care of the people here in the United States.
But you're not taking care of people in the United States. He's sending billions of dollars overseas.
Exactly. But the thing I have with that is that you make provisions for people to come forward to here and allow them to get documentation and come properly. these people, these individuals come from these countries that are in distress. Why don't they have some type of policy, a type of agreements on why these individuals are fleeing? Why can't they get proper documentation? And besides, once they flee into the United States and they get to Mexico, is it Mexico's problem or is it the U.S. problem?
Well, that's what
I
I'm
mean-
saying. It seems like we get blamed, the U.S. get blamed for whatever. I mean, when they get to the border, how you going to blame the United States because they came to the border? Because
Right.
I remember Harris, VP Harris, when she went, I think it was to Cuba or somewhere. That was the thing that she was supposed to be finding out. Like, why are these people fleeing their countries? Like, what is the real reason that something needs to be done about it? Because when you get to the border and you don't get in, and then you end up starving to death or whatever, and then your children dying, like, it has to be like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. I keep saying, well, what is it that you want the United States to do?
Well,
I mean, honestly, listen, the U.S. is always sticking their nose in everybody's business. So it has become the norm to hear, they'll come through and save. The streets are paved with gold and things of that nature. But, the top reasons people would flee their country would be corruption. They're war torn, safety reasons, poverty. You know what I mean? There are people who have advanced degrees in these countries and who come here and can't be seen as a doctor or a lawyer because of whatever the difference is in their education. And they would rather come here and work as a para or an office assistant or whatever, in order for them to be able to take care of their family. But we have to really think about, like, America is a melting pot of immigrants. And it's hard to say, oh, well, we can't let them here. Listen, Americans came and stole the land from the Indians. So, I mean, when you think about it, yes, we would like to be able to help everybody. Yes, it is important to offer aid when you can, but to say, oh, these guys are illegal immigrants, they have to go somewhere else. I mean, technically, a lot of us are illegal immigrants because this is not our country.
No, I'm not saying that you not be allowed over here. I'm saying that you should have it where you have your paperwork, you come in the right way. Let me tell you, them other countries,
sometimes that's not
when you go to those other countries, you do not get in. Even somebody, look, I have traveled to other countries and almost didn't get back home because my paperwork wasn't matching my passport when I got up there to the gate. And I'm standing like freaking out because I'm like, I can't get left over here because then I don't know what's going to happen to me if I get left over. That's how strict they are. This is what I'm saying. They never, you don't see them having that problem with people at the border trying to get in. So how come they don't have that problem?
Well, a lot of things that we don't see that's in other countries or what's going on with the people that's passing through this country. There's a lot of things that's going on. People do settle in these other countries and they just don't make a public opinion.
Right.
You have people like countries like China buying up patches of land throughout the United States. How are they going to do that? They didn't just pass the law, but they just struck down the law the other day, particularly in Staten Island, where that non-citizens aren't able to vote. Now, you got documentation to work, you paying your taxes, why your voice does not matter.
Right.
Why you cannot have a voice here.
Right.
That's one of the problems that's going on, and they're worried about the old immigrants here. The United States is built on the back of immigrants.
Right, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When you come here and you get a job and you work and you become successful, yes, you not successful, I mean in getting rich, but what I'm saying, once you here and you working, then you should have the documentation where you can vote just like everybody else is.
No, but they do.
And everything, you get the same benefits as somebody else that was here because you have a job working just like everybody else.
They just struck that down, Lottie. They just struck that down. We're talking about people who's legally here, who have paperwork, who can vote, paying taxes, law-abiding citizens cannot vote because they're not citizens. So how do we really define what is a citizen?
Citizen is.
Well, I thought the citizen is if you're born here.
No, you can be a naturalized citizen
and then
like
if
myself.
You come over and you apply for citizenship,
right?
Then
but if you still can get federal government benefits, Medicaid, food stamps, welfare, why you can't have a voice? You're paying.
Right.
You have Social Security
You're
cards,
paying into the
taxes.
system.
So you're paying law-abiding citizen. So why you cannot vote?
Well, to me, it's the same thing that the people that live here that work and they still can't get no benefits and no help. It was just like when they brought
That's
the
where they
people
finna
over
go.
from
They have a
Afghanistan.
voice,
And just
honey.
like you said, Allison, about the United States and everybody's business. Because I remember I was coming home in the cab and I was talking to the cab driver and I was saying, I said, well, you from the country right next to Afghanistan. How come y'all don't take the people in that way? And he said, no, we're not taking them in because the United States is always in everybody else's business. So that's why you have to take them. And that's why they're bringing them over here, like that, right? And I said, well, yeah. He said that's why. That's why everybody comes, because they feel that they can come here. He said, because we're not going to do that, because you can't tell them people there what to do and what they can't do, because they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. So as soon as you leave, it's going to be just like it was before you even had soldiers there or whatever.
Right.
But since you mentioned earlier about the migrants that died and that found in that container, I'm a little skeptical, because now they come to some conclusion they may have been fed or drank something. So we're not sure. These people pay a heavy price for a passage to the United States, and sometimes this is not always guaranteed. So you got to look beyond the monetary value of it, and in addition of why they're fleeing the countries. But what is the passage if they don't fulfill that payment? What is the consequences of that? And I think that may have played a big role.
But why would you think that why would you think that the driver them or whoever was on the truck besides him would give all of them something to drink?
That was something that came up after. Because how do you just abandon a truck?
Because they said
if you weren't going to make your destination.
They was already dead.
No, but 11 people that survived. They sprayed coffee grinds over them to mask the smell. Okay, you still had people alive.
Listen, who's to say that truck was actually supposed to make it to their destination? What if they realized that they weren't going to be able to cross the border with them? They already got their money.
They already crossed the border.
So they came through Texas. They stopped at the checkpoint in Texas, and then they came home, because they was only about a half an hour from the border when the truck was found. So that's why I couldn't understand, like, why would a person abandon the truck like that? I mean, it's so sad in a way that people have to take that kind of risk.
Absolutely.
To load that many people up on the truck, to come somewhere and take a chance like that. But we're going to come back with more hot topics, and we'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back to Hot Topics. So we're keeping it real with Shannon. I wanted to ask you, with aging gracefully, they said in each stage that we're supposed to have a mindset of what we want to do in our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, 50s, 60s, and how we're supposed to be taking care of ourselves and stuff. But I think the only time we really think about all of that is in the early stages of the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and maybe 50.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, coming from a Caribbean background, we only went to see the doctor when something was wrong and we couldn't drink bush tea it away. So, with COVID being around, it's really important, self-care has become like the forefront of, making sure you take care of yourself. And, you taking care of yourself is your ability to, take care of your family and your loved ones. And what does that look like? What does that look like in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, and in your golden 50s and 60s and 70s? What does that really honestly look like? And there are some touch points that people should really be aware of through the ages, what they are supposed to be on top of, or at least have someone in their corner, a doctor, a physician, that they should be seeing for certain things preemptively. It's kind of make sure that you're okay in those age groups. So I had a list. Go ahead, Vanessa.
So what are the pointers? What is the pointers that people should be talking about in their 30s and 40s? Forget about the 20s, because we already know what they're doing.
Not doing.
All right. Well, I guess I'll slide out of my 20s then.
What is 30, 40, 50 years?
30, 40. So in your 30s, all of the appointments that you would, pretty much have in your 20s, you would see your family doctor once a year. They WebMD says once a year is good. If your family has any pre-existing conditions, and depending on how predisposed you are to them, then your doctor would probably recommend you come see them, every 6 months or so on and so forth. Definitely your dentist. Every 6 months, get that cleaning, ladies and gentlemen, please. Okay. You should be seeing your dentist regularly, once a year, and seeing the oral hygienist, who's the person that does your cleaning, twice a year. Dermatologist. In your 20s, you out in the sun, young, wild, and free. 30s too. Some of us don't really think that skincare and sun care is important, especially in our melanated communities. We feel melanin is the sunscreen and we don't need any extra. You do. You do. So definitely a dermatologist if you have any sunspots or moles or new upcoming spots and things that you may not have before. You definitely want to make sure that you go to a dermatologist and get those checked. Gynecologists, ladies, you should be seeing your GYN. Before it used to be once a year, but if you have 3 consecutive annual pap smears that are normal, they recommend that you see your GYN once every 3 years. Also, cholesterol and cardiovascular health. Again, if you guys are predisposed to certain genetic traits, whether it be heart disease, high cholesterol, hypertension, things of that nature, those are things that you want to talk to your doctor, and those are things that they would schedule with you to regular checkups for those. So in our 40s, pretty much the same appointments apply. You would also want to add a urologist just to make sure that your kidney health is in a good state, especially in our 40s. If you were in your roaring 20s and 30s and you were a drinker like myself, you want to make sure that your kidneys are doing what they're supposed to.
Well, you know what, Allison? Let me tell you.
We drinks, baby. We drinks.
I know, but let me tell you, before we run out of the time, we don't get to the other hot topic. Well, let me tell you, all of that stuff you said is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Why we don't do it, I don't know. Now, we're going to jump.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
We're going to jump to the seniors. We're going to see when we jump to the seniors.
I want to ask
you, we don't worry about that stuff in the early year. When we get to the senior, that's when we worry about it, because now we're falling apart. So now we're saying, okay, well, maybe we need to exercise a little more. Maybe we need to, walk around the block a couple of times, because now you are thinking about all of that stuff. And now it's when you get them late 70s and 80s and 90s, that's when you start saying, oh, well, maybe I should do a little bit more about my health and stuff like that. It is not a concern in them early years. All you're concerned about now is staying alive. When you wake up in the morning and you see that sunshine and you realize you're still alive, that's all you care about.
That's all you care about.
You don't argue with people anymore. You don't care what they say anymore. You cares less. And I'm telling you, when people say when you get older that the stuff is not important to you anymore, and it's absolutely true. It takes too much energy. If they're not positive, you drop them quickly. That's what you do. And
But
so when people be like, "Oh, you don't even call me anymore," I wonder why I don't call you.
There's a reason.
But you know what?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
As we talk about self-care and as a medical professional background as well, I would like to add, although we transition through the decades and our health may not be a priority to some, I would on the earth side of caution, find out the family history. A lot of the things that we have that's premeditated out there, where that you should have like certain screening process. You deviate outside those norms. And I remember working in ER, and a young lady came to me, just do something simple, just come to fast track, nothing really significant. And I started asking questions, and it came to the question of cancer. You know, does anybody in your family have heart disease, asthma, COPD, just cancer here and there? And she got, Mom. I said, okay. At what age was Mom diagnosed? She said, Mom was diagnosed at 35. I said, well, then you need to start being tested at 25. So it's 10 years prior to the first relation, first generation. And she said, well, you never, this is the first time she ever heard that. And this is why you find more white people diagnosed with breast cancer, but you have more
early on
die from it because they don't know the dynamics. They're outside the norm of what they say the screening process is. And it
absolutely
goes, they don't have a family history. They don't know the family history. You know, screenings. Think about the eating healthy, exercising around where you live at. We know there's a lot of social determinants that's out there that are preventing people from doing active eating, active physical activity. You have streets that are not well lit, not paved sidewalk. You have communities that have food deserts where they don't have the best quality of foods. And these are things that people need to look overall health. Just like you schedule your appointment for a spa, you schedule your appointment for the gym, you schedule your appointment for airline ticket for a vacation, schedule yourself in your calendar to see your doctor. Because see, we don't want to wait till we get to 70s, 80s when it's all broken. You can't, and you falling down.
You can't fix it.
You can't do nothing about it.
You can't fix it. You know?
And unfortunately,
that's no, we just go get bandaged up. That's all. We just put a band around our ankles.
That's not bandaging up.
It's not always cost effective to get managed up at that age. You know,
that's duct tape.
You want to just tune it up. You just want to tune it up there.
Right. I don't want duct tape and gum methods. I don't want that. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Listen,
don't want it.
No, you don't. No, what I'm saying is you don't want that. I'm just saying that seems like that's what usually happens when you're in your early years. All you're thinking about is your career, making money. You know, you don't even think about that. You're not even thinking about eating healthy and all of that kind of stuff. That's the problem. There is, I think it has to start from where you are young to be taught. Because just say I use myself and my generation that I came from. Now, nobody told me back then that I was supposed to be eating pig feet and collard greens and macaroni and cheese and all that kind of stuff. Nobody said that because that's what you was fed.
But when you found out
during the week, normally you always have a big Sunday dinner or whatever, but you would get this kind of food during the week. So this is when you were young. So this is what you grow up off of. So now by the time you get at the age that you're not you can't be eating that food anymore. It's already in you.
But Lottie,
so we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it in the early years.
You found out long before today. When you found out that it was not good, did your mindset change?
Well, I didn't find out until the later years. By that time, I'm just worried about staying alive. I'm not worried about all of that then. Now I got to worry about staying alive because it has already happened. So now you got to change that bad habit. Which is really, it's almost like being an addict. It's almost like being a drug addict. You can't get off.
Yes.
You can't listen. You know that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can.
Until you actually get sick. That's what
okay. But to answer your question, so in your 50s and older, these are the things that you should be really kind of also adding to your focus list. Colonoscopies.
Yes.
Colonoscopies, definitely prostate health is one. Menopause. Menopause affects bone density. These are things, osteoporosis. These are things that if your family has again, a history of any kinds of cancers, especially bone cancers, these are things that you should really be talking to your doctor about, and what screening processes and pre-screening processes you should really be doing at these stages in your life.
But
So,
even with that, it's hard to get people to go for that. You
absolutely
mention it to people, did you get your
colonoscopy? They're like, no, ma'am.
They were like, no, because it doesn't sound like it's important to them, and that's why I say the conversation, because when you're not having a conversation, that you get it in your head how important this is. That's why, just like with men, they won't go get themselves checked. They're known for having prostate cancer all the time, but they will not go and get them. You have to actually argue with them, knock down, drag out arguments with them to get them to go to the doctor, to get themselves tested or whatever. It's I don't know what it is. It's this, I don't know what I can't figure out what it is.
And that's
that
why
that somebody has to argue with you to go get this done.
Or you need a scare. Or you need
even sometimes when they get the scare, they take their own sweet time going to have it checked out.
Yeah.
I know some right now that had a scare and they still haven't gone and got it checked out.
Listen, I have one friend who is he goes to get his done. So whenever, we talk and I talk to him about it, he's 45 and he makes sure, he's like, listen, I have to go every couple of years. I need to make sure, however regularly he goes, he has daughters that he takes care of. These are things that he has to make sure he's on top of, because at the end of the day, this is not the end of your life. People are living longer and longer.
Exactly. They're living much longer.
Right.
And I think it has to be an ongoing conversation in your house.
Absolutely.
Your household.
Absolutely.
It has to be an ongoing conversation, because if not, you don't be thinking about that stuff and you don't be worrying about it. This is what I'm particular now, because we got to go. Particular now with everything going on in the world today, with all this shooting and killing. Nobody's even thinking about that stuff now. When you step outside now, all you're thinking about is, I'm going to get back home in the house. Let me tell you, when I get out of my car and get to my door, I said, thank you, Jesus, that I walked across this door here, that I went out and I made it back home. Because when you leave now, you don't know where you coming back or not. So listen, ladies, do what you said you was going to do now, Allison. Go get yourself checked and everything. All I'm doing now is
Dr. Did knows me, baby.
I'm worried about staying alive now. That's all I'm worried about. So thank you for joining us today. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Do you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Stage Watch Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's shining.